Hey, welcome to this week's well, not this week's, but this issue of the Commanders Countdown, since it's not necessarily every week during the off season. There's actually some pretty big news. Negative
we've been doing it. We've managed to do it every week so far. So it's been every week.
Okay.
I mean, there happens to have
still been news every week. Like this week there's been quite a bit of news with quarterbacks,
especially this in particular.
Got some big news.
We have our franchise quarterback. Like
the Messiah maybe has come.
We picked up
Commander
Carson, as painful and terrible as that really is to say. Initially hearing about this, I was.
It makes him sound like a Buzz Lightyear. Right.
Commanders.
Absolutely, they got their franchise quarterback.
What was it?
Yeah.
They got their franchise quarterback. Commander Carson, everybody.
Yeah. So of course the deal, like as we mentioned with Russ, can't be finalized until the new league year begins. But the pending deal involves, and of course, as always, we'll put it up on the screen so you can take a look yourself. But 2022 third round pick. And next year's third rounder that can also convert into a second rounder based on incentives. So obviously, I'm sure that's going to be like performance and playing time based incentives. So potential to go from 2 third round picks to a third and a second. But obviously, if it pays off and they get into the playoffs, that's a pretty moderate price to pay. I mean, that's not a
Given the cost, and given that we did need a quarterback, it's not. At first I wasn't happy, and then a little bit of time passed. I was like, well, his stats are actually pretty good. But then I started reading up about Carson Wentz and about his various issues, and then this went downhill very quickly.
I love it. I love it. You make it sound like you just were like calling fucking people that knew him on the phone, and you're like, I've got information on you, Carson. I know that you haven't.
I need to hear. Tell me about Carson. Tell me what a shitty person Carson
I know that you haven't been a very nice boy, Carson, with some of your teammates in other locations.
So
the reason for his quick shipment out from the Colts to the Commanders, in most
other than the shitbagger Week 18 against the Jaguars when they needed to win and get in.
But if you look at he was like 27 touchdowns for 7 picks. Other than those 2 games,
he did well.
He did well. But I think the reason is clearly something else. And as these initial reports of Wentz's abrasive personality and lack of leadership skills were treated with skepticism and filth. But eventually the noise grew too loud, and now it seems Wentz's departure from Indy was thanks at least in part to the same problems.
So there is some
very unflattering quotes here.
Are they from teammates? Are they from former teamates, or what do we got?
I'm not even sure.
I'm not even sure. There's a bunch of quotations here. But he basically he has a lack of leadership. He has an abrasive personality. Just to summarize what most of them were saying. He's not what you'd expect from a quarterback. He has an issue with hard coaching. Really being coached. What he needs to learn. There's a lot of aspects to his personality that I'm hearing here that are just really bad. Those are not things that you want in a quarterback.
So despite
his record and when you look at it on paper, it seems like he looks like he could be good. If he still has the same kind of mentality, coming into Washington, then I think they just made another huge mistake, and we're in for another letdown of the season. But
they still have.
It seems like
he's an odd person to take as the Commanders' very first quarterback under that name. Let's pick Carson Wentz. This dude who's got personality issues. You got Ron Rivera. You think Ron Rivera's going to put up with big ass Carson Wentz, crying about being pushed too hard? I just don't understand the move. It's like, what does Dan Snyder make this decision?
Obviously, the guy they wanted clearly was Russ, and just like last year, the guy they wanted clearly was Matt Stafford.
There's another one I would say that could be an option, which would be Deshaun Watson.
Right. And go into that as well.
I think even though this trade has already happened, and we'll cover Deshaun's news. I guess we could just.
Deshaun's cleared of all charges.
Sean's cleared of all charges.
Free at last.
Right down to it.
This is like
a day after the Commanders make this trade for Wentz. So my idea now is thinking maybe they would offer Wentz in a trade to the Texans along with a bunch of other shit.
Okay.
to get
Maybe.
Watson.
Maybe
that would be my not prediction, but like it seems like maybe a likely thing to do.
It's just reading about Carson.
Wentz. I'm really like, oh my god, this is not the kind of person you want. Like Taylor Heineke, it sounds like 100 times better.
Well, I mean, I'm sure if it doesn't pan out, Taylor is still under contract for 1 more year.
Oh, he's there waiting. He's not going anywhere for at least a year.
Yeah.
He's be there.
So he's just waiting for Carson to either just to get benched or just to piss Ron off and just, I don't know. Hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully it works out. But yeah, you're right. Ron's got that old school coaching approach. So it'll be very curious to see. Doug Peterson's a pretty chill coach. So, I mean, I could see, if he had issues with
it just seems like a really bad choice. It doesn't seem like a good fit. I didn't know this about Carson Wentz until this happened. I had no reason.
Would you rather had Carson or Jimmy?
But
Jimmy, absolute 100%.
Jimmy, absolute 100%, because Jimmy's actually seems like a good, decent person.
One thing I will say, even after he's basically not a Niner anymore, or I mean he is right now, but we'll see. Pending, we'll talk more about that. But you have never heard one of Jimmy's teammates say one bad thing about that man ever. Can you say the same?
Yeah, I mean Jimmy.
Can you say the same about Carson?
About Carson? Oh, absolutely not. Go Google for a minute and just go have yourself a time reading about what a shitbag Carson Wentz apparently is. I didn't know this until literally earlier today.
Because this just happened
the news just broke.
And I was reading up on
him. At first I was let down, then I got excited. I was like, oh, look at his stats though. And then after reading this, I'm like, dude.
I mean, all the
really?
all the Niners Jimmy haters will tell you that stats aren't everything, and it's true. They're not. I mean, even I said that. So I mean, obviously he also had the benefit of having Jonathan Taylor just running over everybody all season long in the run game. So he was able to set up a lot off play action. But I mean, Carson has been good in the past. He got an Eagles team into the playoffs, and obviously Nick Foles is the one that kind of took him the rest of the way after he got hurt. But I mean, he got him there. So obviously he's got some ability, and he's a pretty
it's really going to be.
And you like the mobility.
Oh, obviously,
and he is a pretty mobile guy. I mean, you're always talking about having a mobile guy.
It's more that attitude. I mean, maybe if the rest of the teammates that we already have that are leaders are leaders on the team, and Carson just does a damn job. But I just don't feel like if the quarterback's not the leader and doesn't have that in him, then he really should not be the quarterback.
It doesn't seem like it's going to work well.
It just doesn't seem like it's going to work well. But
we'll see what happens.
After reading about that, I'm not particularly optimistic.
At first, I was like, well, maybe he'll be better.
Maybe he'll be better than Jimmy. And then now I'm like, oh, but Jimmy's actually a great person. So I don't know. I think I kind of. I mean, and Carson being in the locker room, in that environment, having that ability, it translates to your team.
I mean,
it's not just about your presence makes your team better. And if you're an asshole and you're a little bitch about things, your team's gonna be like,
it's not an unknown factor that the Niners obviously win a lot because of excellent team effort, and obviously Jimmy lifts the team up because they play hard for him. Regardless of, if he throws an interception or two or, gets sacked or, those everybody plays hard for him. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see if that remains the same. I mean, obviously Washington's got a good team and a good core. So obviously,
you'll have to see how it develops through.
Free agency and draft as well.
Exactly. We'll have to see
after last
season's free agency and draft and how excited I was, I don't think I'm going to let that happen again.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, you guys they're at 11 this year, and obviously it seems like you guys with Heineke and Wentz, it seems like you guys have quarterback taken off the board. So do you guys go offensive line to replace Sure?
Potentially.
I mean, who knows? Maybe you go.
That is going to be a tough call there. It's not as obvious now. They might still draft quarterback.
Maybe if there's.
I don't feel like
Wentz or Heineke are either long-term options, but I also think that given the quarterback class this year, that they might
maybe if there's a developmental guy I don't think Malik Wilson will be there, but maybe if you can get Kenny Pickett or Matt Corral or
Malik Wilson.
What did I say?
I think the only other news besides picking up Carson Wentz is the potential release of Landon Collins. I think a lot of people are probably happy about that move, given the cost to have him on the team, and he has not been a good safety historically. Although I do think it's odd that they do this right after he has a season that he actually does pretty well after he changes position. But I don't think he wasn't worth what he wanted to be paid. Apparently, they wanted him to take a pay cut, and he wasn't okay with that.
He's like, I'll try
my luck in free agency. And it's like, all right, well, fine, dude. He wasn't worth what he was being paid. I mean,
so it is what it is.
It is what it is. But I think a lot of people are probably happy to see us move on from him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you had discussed, playing started the season out playing safety, ended up being moved to linebacker as the season went on. He did end up having a pretty decent season, stat-wise at least, 81 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 interceptions. I remember one of those. He had a really good game against Dallas once, but there were also times where, obviously he was out of position and missed some tackles. But that can be anybody. But obviously for the amount of money that he was making, I think that he was near the upper echelon of what Washington players were making, at least like the top 2 or 3. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
and definitely. I almost think that like in getting rid of or in getting Carson Wentz, obviously that may have been a necessary move, obviously to make room for his contract. And
maybe I don't know
about just that alone, but I feel like maybe they're going to need to bolster up other positions, and cutting out that cap.
Definitely,
him, it just seems like the smartest
especially
move.
with the draft coming and obviously free agency.
Exactly.
Set to because Landon, originally he signed a. Let's see here. It was a 6-year contract originally. Where he was making, oh my God, $84 million with a $15 million signing bonus.
That's
insane.
Yeah, I mean, I could. That's a lot of money to. So we'll see where he ends up.
I'm glad he's moving on.
Obviously, good.
Yes, we will.
Good
see
luck
where
to
he
you,
ends
Landon,
up.
wherever you go. But obviously, he's. I don't know that he's going to get that much money again. I don't think he'll sign a deal for quite that much.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely
when he came,
he should have just stayed with Washington, taken a pay cut, and stayed where he was. But no.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see. Obviously,
although
maybe they just rather have somebody else entirely, which makes sense.
Well, I mean, hopefully, Jamin Davis in his second year, I think he'll look more comfortable out there in his second year. But I think that's going to be.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I mean, he as the season went on, obviously, like he was one of the 2 guys that was, out there partying with DeShazer the night that shit happened. So, like, obviously, like I think that played like a mental toll. But as the season went on, and later in the season, he started getting better. He picked up that sack late in the season. He made a couple like nice tackles for losses. So it did seem like he was starting to get more adapted. So I think second year in the system, he could do some good things. He's gonna need to.
Definitely, I hope so.
Need to.
We need it.
Yeah, and we need him to.
Yeah, and we need him to.
But we'll let you guys know what happens as far as the transaction wire goes. 5 days until free agency starts. So maybe you guys can get Amari. Maybe we can get Amari.
I know that would be great.
We need somebody to pair it with Terry. That's
2 straight seasons of Terry being like basically it. I mean, obviously, you guys.
It would be crazy.
The
last thing I want to mention though, it'd be crazy because we did just get Carson Wentz from Philadelphia.
We got Amari Cooper.
Yeah. We got Amari Cooper from Dallas.
And then, I don't know what
Giants player we could get, or if we even want any Giants player. I don't think we really do, except maybe their tight end.
And that would be nice.
And that would be nice. But I don't think they're going to get rid of it. But if we did, it would be amazing to get players from all 3 teams and then just go spank them.
There's actually been a lot of interest. Teams are inquiring about Evan Ingram as both a tight end and a slot receiver. So he's getting a lot of interest. So I mean, he could be on the move. And I think he is probably.
Yeah, I think that'd be crazy if we picked up a player from all 3 teams. Like good players. Well, I guess Carson Wentz. I don't know how.
But Amari Cooper
and Evan Ingram are pretty solid players.
I think Carson has the potential to maybe do some good things. I think like especially if he's got some good help out there.
I think you're right.
I mean, obviously,
reading about that personality issues really makes me
that would be the number one concern for me too. Is just like how are the teammates going to react to him, especially a team that's already gone out and like bled and like died for like Heineke. It's like, and he's still in the locker room. You've got a guy that like busted his ass and did the pylon dive and like, you know, went head to head with Tom Brady, the goat of football twice. And then like he's still in your locker room while Carson's like maybe, you know, dipping out of practice early. I don't know. We'll have to monitor.
Yeah, that's not going to be good. We'll have to see. Let's hope not. Let's really hope
bullshit.
not.
I mean, I hope he's just, you know.
I know. It's like I don't want to be like too negative about him. Like, oh, you know, let's give him a chance.
Absolutely.
Like, no, give him a chance. Ron, I don't think would take some guy. You know, with
you would have to have thought that Ron would have like sat down and probably talked with the man.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, you would like to hope that and think that, you know, there's.
We will see.
Yes, we will see. We will see. That's all we got for you for this week. We'll cover what happens with free agency, obviously.
Do it for our show this week. Thank you for joining us. If you're not already, go ahead and click the subscribe button and follow us on all the social media platforms, such as Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. And we've also got a TikTok, which is actually growing faster than anything, shockingly enough. But yeah, check us out there. Also, faithful, check out the weekly Niners news update for all your latest Niner news.
And all the Washington Commander fans out there, remember to check out the Commanders Countdown every week for news on that as well.
Indeed. And have a good night. Thank you all for joining us.
Have a good night.